Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel. This is a good vibes, good energy true crime podcast. I'm going to be talking about very horrific things. This podcast is definitely a huge trigger warning. It is a famous true crime case horribly in Australia, and it happened in the 1980s. So, again, guys, you have been warned. Before I go on, I'm well aware that I am burnt to a crisp. I'm actually looking a lot better. If you are listening to this podcast, I am very bad sunburned. And if you're like, Katie, come on, you're pale and sweet. What are you doing? I went swimming and it was only 80 degrees. That is it. And I burned like all my top half, my legs. And if you notice, I'm peeling on my forehead now. Yeah, I know, ew. I already peeled on my shoulders and arms, but again, enough about that. I'm very well aware that I'm burned. And before I just hit record, I dropped hot wax on my sunburn. Yeah, I was trying to move candles around, trying to fix the vibe because this, like I said, guys, this is a horrific case. I just redid my makeup again because I couldn't stop crying. So grab a snack. If you cannot eat right now, that's fine. But yeah, we're going to talk about Anita Cobby. Weather's nice. Don't have to tell me twice. You don't want me around. Don't want to bring you down. Good morning. Good evening. Good all the things. What's going on? I'm Katie Brannon, and this is Tea Time True Crime with Katie. And if this is kind of your vibe and you are just fascinated by true crime, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Okay, so before we go on, I always talk about a product that I love. It's not sponsored. So if you're wondering the wild nail colors that I wear a lot, I forgot to tell you guys, but I love Mooncat. Mooncat, I have a couple colors here. I have Treachery in the blue. It is a blue nail polish that actually turns into a beautiful, like a light brown tan. I love it. I love mood changing polish. It's like my favorite. It's like a mood ring on your fingers kind of thing. The colors that I'm wearing right now, on one hand, I am wearing Maelstrom, and it is just this beautiful, sparkly turquoise, green, blue. It just reminds me of siren vibes, okay? And then the other hand, because, I like to do different colors on different hands. If you have OCD, my apologies, but I do not. And I love doing different colors and different vibes. So my other hand, my right hand, I have Do You Play Croquet? And it is just this pearly, pretty, sparkly pink that my husband just loved right away. He's like, ooh, pink nails. And I'm like, yes. And I got mermaid. So Mooncat, I believe, is women owned. And yes, I saw it on a Facebook ad, but then I started studying and I realized it kind of was a small business and it's grown. Now, these are not that expensive. Some are like $14, $16. I like to save up and just get like a whole bunch to get free shipping. You know what I'm saying? Let me know who does that or just does a lot of window shopping. But Mooncat, they do beautiful, beautiful colors. This is just 3 I have in my hand. I can't show all my colors, but I'll definitely put the description and the link below. I love this nail polish. I recommend, though, to put a anti-chip or a hardener on top of your nail polish because, honestly, this is, I think, 3 coats, and I'm obsessed. It lasts long, but sometimes it does chip, being honest. But I feel like that's all nail polish. So you got to have the clear coat on anyway. I mean, Am I right? But yeah, if you guys want some really pretty funky colors, there are a few that actually change colors. The one I'm looking at is, I think, Bad Omens, and it changes from like black to purple or purple to black. So yeah, I get my nails and I get like the nude nails and I just color my nails any color I want. And then you just take it off and switch nail polish. I love it. You don't have to keep taking off your acrylic nails every time you want to change your nails. You just take them off with regular nail polish remover and then you do a different personality. So yeah, check out Mooncat, you guys. I think you'll be surprised. Thank you. All right, you guys. So I'm going to be talking about Anita Cobby. Now, this crime, last warning, okay? This crime is so horrific, okay, that Australia almost brought back the death penalty. And it's 2024, and they do not have the death penalty in Australia. That is the type of country that really believes in rehabilitation. But this crime is so horrific and so severe that the country does not believe that these boys can be rehabilitated. So, to do one more hint, if anyone has ever watched or could stomach the movie I Spit on Your Grave, it is like that kind of case. Yeah, it is absolutely horrific what this young woman went through, and we do not have a survivor. But the case is solved and the bastards are incarcerated so they don't do this again to anyone else. Yeah. So far, though, I know I looked up on Google and online, these guys may get out. But by the time these guys get out, not only you have the loved ones that want them no longer living anymore, you even have the whole country and city. You would be the worst hated person, I feel like, in the world. Okay, all right, I'll stop gabbing. Let's talk about Anita Cobby. Anita Cobby, she was not only beautiful, you guys, so beautiful, in fact, that she was a beauty queen. Yes, 1979, she was a beauty queen. She was born actually November 2nd, 1959, which makes her a Scorpio. This all took place around Sydney, Australia. She was married to John Cobby, that was her husband. She had a sister named Catherine. And she, like I said, not only Anita was beautiful, I want to say that not only like on the outside, she just was gleaming, her smile just, brightened up a whole room, you guys. She was a very, very caring person. Yes, she was a nurse. That was the profession that she would take as she got older. Everybody thought she was going to be a movie star because of her looks, but her heart was actually in wanting to help people. So she became an RN. Now, while she was in college, that is where she met John Cobby. John Cobby, it's adorable, you guys, when they first saw each other, he said that she was so out of his league that he wouldn't even try to even talk to her. Until one day, you guys, they accidentally bumped into one another. And it was Anita that struck up a conversation. And that led to dating. And they were just absolutely in love, young love. They're in their 20s. And they start falling for each other pretty hard. And within 6 months of dating, they moved in together. Now, tragically, though, before he popped the question, she became pregnant. That's not the tragic part. The tragic part is that she suffered a miscarriage. And that took a toll on Anita because Anita was very, very excited to be a mother. And so was John. Even though they weren't married yet, they were still over the moon, but she did lose the child. In 1981, didn't matter. John loved her no matter what. So in 1981, he proposed. And the ring he proposed her with, I saw that it was called a Russian band, but it had like gold and like pink gold, which I feel like pink gold is rose gold. Yeah, it was very different, but it was very beautiful. I love rings like that are like different. Like, I love my wedding ring and my engagement ring. It's very vintage. How I tell people, I feel like it fell off the Titanic. And I just want to let you know that shout out to George because he picked out everything. Even this, the new edition, because the first one I had, since we've been together so long, it's amazing. I got an upgrade and I love it. It reminds me of Marilyn Monroe vibes and vintage vibes. So I absolutely love it. Sorry, but I know how it is to have a ring that is very different and has a little pizzazz. So in my rings, though, it actually is engraved what me and George always say together, like always say to each other. So, but tragically, John didn't get to engrave anything in the ring yet, but she did love the ring. Now, they ended up kind of breaking up a little bit after the wedding. I know it's awkward to talk about. March 27th, though, 1982, they were married. Yeah. She looked absolutely stunning. Aren't these pictures beautiful? She's just so happy. The family said that she smiled nonstop, and so did John. Like, that was just a beautiful, happy, wonderful memory kind of day. After marriage, though, John did kind of do nursing still, but then he also did something on the side that was training horses. And Anita continued her nursing. Anita really wanted a family, and it was just not working. And I just want to say to any woman with any fertility issues, I hear you. It is a different battle, and it is a silent battle. And please know that you are not alone. And I wish you the absolute best vibes in your endeavor in conceiving a child. Children are a blessing. Absolutely. So, like I said, March 27, 1982, they got married. Now, when John trained horses, he actually had a horse that won, I guess, some kind of contest. And he won like $10,000. Yeah, training the horse. I'm guessing it was like a derby or something. Now, $10,000 in the 1980s, guys, is today's equivalence to like $51,000. So with that extra money, they decided to have their honeymoon because apparently after they got married, they didn't have a honeymoon. They went like right to work. So I feel like it's very important, you guys, if you guys just get married, doesn't matter what you do or where you go, you gotta have some type of honeymoon. You just got to. But they said they didn't have the honeymoon in the beginning, John said, because they want to use the money to buy a house. All right. I get that. Absolutely. But then when he got all this extra money, he's like, let's go on a honeymoon. Because things at this part, guys, after marriage, it kind of began to like fracture a little bit. Not that they didn't love each other. I personally think it was the fertility issues, her not be able to conceive and the stress, it could have been all kinds of things. But no matter what, they did not go on. They kept loving each other. In fact, when they went on this awesome vacation and spent time together, he said, I love you. And she said, I love you as well. So when they got back, it was going to be Monday, that Monday coming up, that they were going to start searching for houses. But tragically, you guys, before that Monday was Sunday. Yeah. And it's Sunday today, which is especially talking about this, it's kind of wild. And if you're wondering, what tea am I drinking? I don't want anything hot near my body, so I am having coconut water. And I don't know if you've heard of this, guys. It's Agua del Coco, and it's by Grazie or Grace. I'm not sure. I think I just want it to be Grazie because it's just a happy word, like Grazie, you know? But this is extremely refreshing, and I want more of this. There's no pulp. It's not too sweet. It's not too coconutty. It's very, very refreshing. And I need all the hydration I can get right now. Usually on a podcast, you guys, I always talk about like how did I, come to this kind of case. First part is I went to go see Back in Black. You know, the Amy Winehouse biopic. Now, I know critics and viewers are very upset about this film, about how she was portrayed, because she did use drugs. She did show up late to very important appointments. You know, she seemed pretty spicy in the movie. She seemed kind of like an unlikable, kind of neurotic character. But I love Amy Winehouse. I am a huge Amy Winehouse fan. And I watched her documentary. I believe it's on Max or Hulu. It's long, though. It took me 2 sessions to finish. Can't remember if it was 3 hours or 4 hours. But it's a documentary about Amy Winehouse. And I did get that vibe from her. So the actress that played her, I know they tried really hard to look like Amy Winehouse, and I think people will be really bummed out about that she didn't look like her completely. But it is worth a watch, you guys, because the main actress of Back to Black really is singing. Yes. And I researched that this actress wasn't even a singer at all. They had a very, she had a very tough vocal coach. I don't want to say tough, but apparently really good, because she learned how to sing. She's a British actress, and those are her vocals, you guys. So I would watch that movie just to hear her sing. Like when I watch that movie again, when it comes out or when it streams, I'll probably watch it just to hear her sing, because her voice, oh my gosh, sounds so much like Amy Winehouse. It was wild. Yeah. So I bring that up, you guys. Another thing that people don't realize, or may not have realized, Amy Winehouse, too, she had difficult conceiving. She had, I'm not sure if there was miscarriages or anything like that, but it is rumored that she did have them, and they are absolutely awful. I don't recommend them to anyone, not even my worst enemy. So Amy Winehouse really, really wanted a child. And I guess that brought the feeling of a case of Anita Cobby, because she really wanted a family. Now, the second part that may have made me go into this case, you guys, is the Lars von Trier movie. The House That Jack Built. Now, before you guys come after me, I usually am not a huge fan of Lars von Trier. I respect him as a filmmaker, but me personally, I cannot get through his films. They are usually very distressing, very horrific, and apparently that's what the Danish director wants. He wants people to not finish his movies, and it's like a big deal if you do. But The House That Jack Built, I watched the whole thing. I think maybe because I was burned really bad the first day of my sunburn, or the second day. I don't know. The second day is always worse after a sunburn. And I was just in a lot of pain. So I guess I could watch a movie where a lot of people were in pain. I know. Does that sound disturbing? Yeah, I know. Usually, if I'm in a very happy, quirky mood like I usually am, I probably could not get through this movie. But the way I felt this week, I got through it. I had time between clients, and instead of taking a nap, I watched The House That Jack Built. Now, there is a scene that I don't want to do spoilers, but there is killing because the movie is about a serial killer played by Matt Dillon. I will say this. This movie, I think, is the best movie about a serial killer. The violence is brutal, but the personality, the coldness, the detachment, the lack of empathy, the psychopathy of a serial killer was, yeah. All power to Matt Dillon, but god dang, it's not a movie that I would invite my friends over and be like, hey, let's watch this movie. No. But there's a scene in there where Jack basically says, I think you should start screaming right now. And she does. There's a woman in the film that starts screaming. And she literally starts screaming by her front door. She starts screaming out the window of her apartment building. But nobody comes to save her. Yeah. And she becomes one of the incidents. So I got the chills at the moment because as I talk about Anita Cobby, nobody came to save her. No matter how much she screamed, nobody came to save her. So I think watching that scene in the Lars von Trier, oh my goodness, I can't even talk about it. I'm so nervous talking about this. It's just so upsetting, excuse me. The House That Jack Built. I think by watching this movie and watching Amy Winehouse too, that biopic, it just manifested a case that I did a TikTok short. I think it was 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I'm sure it wasn't really good because, I've been doing this for a while now and I've seen my older podcasts. And remember, there's always room for improvement. And if you do not like me, I'm okay with that, but I still wish you the best vibes, okay? But I know when I've improved and I know when I haven't. So I feel like it is time to really talk about Anita Cobby and go really, really in depth. So I want to stop rambling. I know I'm rambling, but if you wanted to listen to a podcast, I'm making a podcast. So we're at the part right now where Anita Cobby and John Cobby are kind of not together anymore, but they're gonna be back together, okay? The week before Anita went missing, that was when she went on I believe it was the Central Coast in Australia with her husband. They never divorced, you guys. They had maybe a brief separation for a few weeks, a 6-week break. We don't know why, but we do know that they loved each other no matter what. It's not like, hey, I want a break to go be with someone else and I'll come back to you. No, it wasn't like that. I personally think it was the fertility thing. But again, I was not there. I do not know. But regardless, Anita and John were working it out and they were just about to look at homes together until she went missing. February 2nd, 1986. It was a Sunday, like today. Anita was only 26 years old. Now, she worked all day in the hospital. And then after she worked, she went to go to her friends to go have some dinner. Now, after the dinner, she wanted to go home to her parents in a Blacktown, sorry, I don't know why I didn't write that down, but I will put it right here on the screen. So she's just trying to go back home, you guys. Now, this is where it's kind of like butterfly effect, okay? So when she goes to the train station, which she always does there is a payphone, okay? And she always calls the payphone either to get a cab or to call her parents to come pick her up, okay? But this night, you guys, the payphone was broken. So Anita went away from her normal routine and went on an earlier bus. Now, as she got off the bus towards her parents' house, Blackfoot, yes, okay. I think that was the name of the town. Anyway, it doesn't, okay. So as she's walking home, and it is about 9 o'clock at night, maybe 10 o'clock at night. Around that time, it's kind of dark. Anita is walking alone on her way home. Then, out of nowhere, a car of 5 dudes just comes driving up. Now, Anita, we don't really know what happened during this particular time. All you hear is that there was screaming. Now, the police think that the boys grabbed Anita's purse and she, yanked it back. But even if she was like, here, have my purse, there's 5 of them, guys. So 5 against 1. And we're talking about a young woman and 5 grown men. I know. You see where this is going. Now, these criminal thugs were on drugs and alcohol at the time. And when Anita was walking home, she stumbled upon these guys. They basically just saw her and had to have her. Now, Anita is so scared that she's screaming, but she cannot utter any words. She's literally just screaming. Stephen Hudson was only 16 years old at the time when he heard Anita screaming. He said it was like 30 seconds. As soon as the young boy ran out of the house and followed that scream, he saw a car and it was passing him by, and he saw that when the car was driving, it was going underneath the street lamp. So when the street lamp was basically illuminating what was inside of the vehicle, he sees a man that is like really high up in the back seat, and it looked like he was sitting on someone. Yeah, because, the teenager's like, I hear this woman scream. Now I don't hear any more screaming. So what happened after that is the kid couldn't catch up. So what he does is run down to the nearest neighbor, and I believe the guy's name was Dale. Dale was in the backseat of his car with his girlfriend, probably trying to do the freaky deaky or something. And Stephen, though, jumps in the front seat of the car, probably scares the couple to death, and was like, we gotta get him. This woman, we don't know what was said, but probably saying, we need to go now. I'm taking your car. A woman has been kidnapped. So Stephen starts driving and follows the vehicle. And sadly, you guys, there is a hill down the neighborhood. And when he went up that hill, he could not see the vehicle anymore. Yes, Stephen lost him. Stephen and his neighbor and the girlfriend, they're in the vehicle and they start driving around for maybe 15 more minutes to try to find this vehicle, try to find this woman, and they can't find her. But as soon as they get home, they realize that Stephen's mom already called the police. Now, I don't know if it was that time, you guys. I do not know. But it took the police 90 minutes to show up at the house. Stephen did not hear anything else about the case until 3 days later. While Stephen is trying to find this poor woman who was just screaming, which he had no idea who it was, but it was tragically Anita Cobby. Anita was being assaulted by Michael Murphy in the back of the car. By Michael Murphy and also John Travers. They actually demanded her to take off her clothes, and if she didn't do it fast enough, they like ripped them off her. She was so scared, and they actually used a knife to her throat while this was happening. She began to be beaten so bad, you guys. Again, these guys are on drugs and alcohol. I'm not giving any excuses. I'm just wondering where the hell all the damn strength comes from. Like, good God, this poor woman. Excuse me. She is in the back of the car, not only being violently assaulted, and she is naked. She has no idea where she's at. She is frightened. And before the assault happened, she actually said to them, "Hey, I'm menstruating, so you can just drop me off because, I'm menstruating." But these guys, I wouldn't even call them human beings. They were just monsters, and they didn't care. They still was assaulting her. Now, they punched her so much in the face where she actually had she had face bones that were fractured, and she had 2 black eyes from being beaten. And the men in the vehicle, she was forced to give oral sex to each of the men. They stole her purse that she was wearing, and they took her money. And when they went to stop for gas, I believe 2 of them were still sitting on her to keep hiding her. And they just, like I said, they used her money to actually get more gas in the car. I can't imagine what she was thinking, you guys. Because not only she's been brutalized, she doesn't know where the hell she's being taken to. But the men drive to a remote area, Reen Road area, and she was still being assaulted in the back seat at this time. The vile men started to drag Anita out of the vehicle because she could not walk anymore, by being hit and bruised. And oh my God, I'm sorry. Just reading about like them prying her legs open and her fighting. Oh God, excuse me. The vile men drag Anita out of the car, and there's a field. And the field has barbed wire across. Okay? So she can't walk right now. So they don't care. So they drag her through the barbed wire. And this woman is still alive through the barbed wire. And they lay her out in a field, and one by one, they sexually assault her violently. They have the knife. They are beating her, and she is fighting, you guys. Oh my gosh, she had so many defense wounds. She was just not the type of woman to be like, let's just get it over with. I'll do what you want. She would not let them do what they want. She fought so hard. But again, guys, it was 5 against 1. Very, very unfair. Very unfair fight. Like, no one has any right to touch anyone who doesn't want to be touched. Okay. I'll get back to that. So, John Padlock is a farmer who owns that land that this horrific crime is being happening on, okay? Now, John actually hears screaming. Yes. But this screaming, it doesn't sound like a normal scream. In fact, John actually thought it was an animal. He had no idea that someone was literally being tortured in his field. He thought it was an animal, and he said he also thought that it was teenagers that were like goofing and fooling around. I'm sorry, what? I know, I don't want to I'm just like, what? Oh my gosh. And this poor woman just went through a beating and assault that was so horrific that it just shocked Australia to its core. I mean, to this day, when you talk about Anita Cobby, it is a crime that anybody who knows any true crime, especially about Australia, okay, they know this case, because this affected so many people. Like, I'm not even, this case formed lynch mobs, okay? So, that night, the parents didn't think anything, when Anita didn't come home, they didn't think anything of it. They thought that maybe she spent the night at a friend's house. It was until the next day when her work, at the hospital, called and wondering where she was at, and the parents knew something was wrong. So they called police and made her a missing persons. So as soon as they did that, they contacted John, and John dropped everything and went to the parents' home. Okay? And he was frantic. He just, I don't know how he knew, you guys, but he was panicking. He wanted to find her. And tragically, it was absolutely too late. February 4th, it was a Tuesday, 1986. The farmer, John Padlock, actually found Anita's body. Yes, guys, this is like 3 days later. They found her body in the field. She was actually surrounded by cows. Yes, cows were surrounding her body, and John was wondering, well, what's going on? Why are they not grazing? So he goes and sees Anita's body. And he looks at her body and he realizes she is face down. There was absolutely nothing on her, not a stitch of clothing. She had horrible stab wounds and very bloody scene. Her body was drenched with blood. Her throat was actually cut several times, almost to the point of decapitation. The farmer who said, when he found her body, said, quote, "It looked like she had been tortured. This girl, this woman, she would be glad she was dead." End quote. Now, police quickly went to the scene, and it scarred police for many years from what they saw. As they went to the body, they realized that her eyes were actually still open. She had defense wounds, and she had marks and cut marks on her body from barbed wire. They were just streamed across her body. And so, as I told you before, like her naked, bruised body, they dragged her through barbed wire. And the only thing she had on her body was her wedding ring. Remember that awesome wedding ring I was talking about? That Russian band? It's like a type of wedding ring. Police knew that Anita's parents knew she was missing, because everybody knows that, Anita is missing. So police go and they bring the ring to the parents and be like, would your daughter have this? Is this your daughter's? Now, the sister Catherine was there, and she noticed, she looked at the ring, and she was like, oh my goodness, this ring it's dirty. It's very dirty. And the police officer was like, that's not dirt, that's dried blood. And the family was They knew. They were like, oh my God, what happened to Anita? When John found out, he was, I can't even tell you if devastated was the word. It was just crushed. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, is there like a worse word than devastation? Like, it was just awful. And the police took John Cobby into custody. And this was the type of police where this is the 1980s. And there's never been really like a crime like this that is so horrific that the police really wanted to get these perpetrators. I mean, of course, police want to get perpetrators, but this was so gruesome, so horrific that they're like, oh my gosh, if this happens to her, this could definitely happen again. So usually in crime cases, they always look at the spouse. Now, John is full of just remorse and regret, and he thinks it's his fault because he's thinking, I should have been the one to pick her up after dinner, which, you can't really do that to yourself. It's not your fault. It's literally the monsters that took her away. So, police actually blamed John because, oh man, this is rough. Okay, sorry, I had to take a break describing what happened to her because it was just so gruesome. So remember I told you there was a defense wound? Not one, but there was many. There also were her fingers were actually nearly severed off because police believed when they had when they had the knife near her throat, she did everything she could. She actually got her hand to push the knife away. But these sick bastards got the knife and was just cutting. So her fingers were like essentially almost severed off. And they just cut her neck until it was just almost decapitated. And police believe that she suffered for hours. And I just can't imagine. I'm sorry. I can't imagine, you guys. Like she's screaming and it's been happening for hours. And she's probably thinking, someone's got to hear me. Someone has got to hear me. But nobody did. I mean, yeah, they heard her, but no one did anything. If you see something, say something. So Anita Cobby, she suffered, I swear this is like one of the worst cases I've ever heard, ever. To be brutalized by 5 men. Not 1, not 2, but 5. And the reason why they killed her is because they were like, oh, she's going to recognize her face. You guys got to do it. And again, these stupid men, they said their excuses, they were high on drugs and alcohol. And people were saying that they came from rough homes. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. I don't. Sorry. I'll get to them in a moment. But police did blame John Cobby. And they actually brutalized him. Yeah, police brutality. And even though they deny this now, but there has been not only what John said, but someone else on the force said that, he really did, he would, I hope God would forgive him for knowing what happened to John. John let it happen, he didn't really fight back because it's the police. But after a while, he did confess because, like I said, he did feel like he had some part in the crime, which he had nothing to do with it at all. He literally just wanted to die because he couldn't live without her. Yeah, guys. But thank goodness the in-laws are like, what the hell are you doing? John did not do this. John did not kill our daughter. And John had a really hard time. Within 3 days of finding out she was murdered, John was a nurse, okay? John never even touched a drug in his life. He goes to heroin. Yes. My God, you would think weed or... No, he went straight to heroin because he did not want to live anymore. He's like, let me overdose and let me be with her because I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live. Yeah, guys, there's interviews on YouTube about it, and it is just like so sad because you see him and he really, really loved her. And he loves her to this day. How many years later? Yeah, he went on. He got married. It didn't work out, but he had 2 kids. And, but like in the interview, he still says, I still love her. I will never stop loving her. And she is my wife. This crime happened in 1986. And John is still saying that. But yeah, the police let him go. And how they find out is, days later, I don't know who did what, okay? But somehow this radio DJ got the details of what happened to Anita Cobby and said it on his radio station. Yes. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine that so thousands, probably millions of people heard what happened to Anita. And when that happened, you guys, that's where the lynch mobs came from. That's where people were like putting fake dummies up in stores and hanging them, trying to find the killers. I know. Yeah. Even though they were very against death penalty, they like abolished it, okay, the capital punishment in Australia. Because of this crime and they heard the details, they were like, no, these guys need to die. We need to find out where they are. And it's pretty impressive how in the 80s, remember the 16-year-old kid, Stephen Hudson? Stephen Hudson was actually under hypnosis because the police wanted to know what was the license plate number because, everything happened so fast he could not remember. And they got it. He told him under hypnosis. I want to know what you guys think before I go on in this case. Do you think that the radio DJ should have said the autopsy results on national radio in Australia? The family was absolutely devastated by this news, but apparently, according to the radio DJ, years later, the father did thank him because it made everybody know about Anita. It made everybody want to solve this case, and it made everybody want to get the killers off the street. And let me tell you, 22 days later, 22, okay, they got the killers off the streets. So with the hypnotism, they found out the license plate, they found the vehicle, they found out it was stolen, and they found out John Travers had something to do with it. John Travers wanted to talk to somebody, and it was his auntie. And we're going to say Mrs. X. Now, Mrs. X went in, talked to her nephew, and John confessed. Yes. John confessed to his auntie, and she was so disgusted and so shocked, she had to walk out of the interrogation room, and she goes to the police and said, he told me. He did it. And after that, the police are like, would you wear a wire? And she did. So she goes back into that room, and you can hear the recording. I wish I could put it on here. So they messed up the voice a little bit, but I could read the captions, and he did confess. He did confess again on the wire. And then he also said his friend Michael Murdoch was there too. So Mrs. X is like, oh my gosh, I know Michael Murdoch. We're going to his house right now. And I'm telling you guys, it is late at night at Michael Murdoch's house. You can hear it on the wire. She knocks on the door. She does her pleasantries with Mrs. Murdoch and says, hi, I'm so sorry to bother you at this time of night. I didn't mean to wake you up, but it's urgent that I talk to Michael. And Mrs. X again got Michael to confess while she was wearing a wire. And Michael pointed out the brothers. Yes, guys, there were brothers involved in this horrific assault/murder. They were 3 brothers. Gary Murphy, who was 28 years old, Leslie Murphy, 22 years old, and Michael Murphy, 33 years old. Yeah, John Travers, only 18 years old. He was the oldest of 8 children and really fucked up. Yeah, I found out that he was a sick motherfucker. I mean, we know he is a sick motherfucker, but he's like worse. Like he has sex with like animals and like eats them. Yeah, we're going down that road. It's disgusting. I know. I know. Michael Murdoch was only 19 years old. So like the range of ages with these guys hanging out just mind boggles me. Like, why are you guys even hanging out? I don't care if it's the 80s and there's no internet. Like, it doesn't make any sense. 18 to 33 years old? I don't know. I mean, I understand people can be friends or buds, but they're all doing drugs together. Drugs, alcohol. And I don't have any remorse for them. I do not. For them being animals for this crime. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm sorry, Anita. I know. I cannot. Oh my God, Anita. I just can't imagine. That's why I have a lot of candles. You see a big one right there, but there's tea candles all around that one and my song bowl. Because, oh my gosh. Okay. So, the guys are caught. And it is a media circus. It is lynch mobs outside. And Michael Murdoch, holy crap, he is giggling and laughing. He's a freaking psychopath. And again, you can go on YouTube and check out the videos of them like smiling and snarkling. And it was Gary Murphy. Oh my gosh, he resisted arrest. And the cop that arrested him smashed his face on the ground, dragged it, so he had a huge mark on his cheek. His defense attorney went to the judge and was like, what did you do to my client? How did he get that mark on his face? And then the police officer said in front of the judge, in front of the courtroom, he got that mark because I put my boot on his neck. And people were cheering. Cheering, you guys. Yeah, they really wanted these kids to die. Not all of them were kids, but, they really wanted the men to die. And 22 days later, they were arrested. One of them changed a plea, but with forensic evidence and also eyewitness, because the 16-year-old did recognize John Travers because, remember, he saw him, behind the rear window. Is that what I say, guys? Backseat window of a car. Yeah, he recognized him because John Travers had this weird look. He had like this weird little, I don't know if it was a tattoo of a teardrop on his cheek or a mole. I don't know. But he had a weird distinguishing mark. And he had these evil eyes. Like they're just icy blue, cold, just evil, dead eyes. So what I was trying to, explain before, guys, is that these men, John Travers, Michael Murdoch, they said they came from horrific backgrounds. Like John Travers is the oldest of 8 children, violent household, poverty-stricken, and the same as Michael Murdoch. Now the brothers, holy crap. Just to have 3 brothers in this horrific crime, I can't wrap my head around it. Like, how awful does their mother feel? Be like, holy crap, I birthed these psychos. Right? Oh my gosh. But yeah, so far people have been like, well, they were abused as a child. They were raised in violence. One of them was sexually abused by the father. And all I can say, even as an empath, when a crime is this brutal, and I don't care if you're 14, 18 years old and you're involved in this horrificness, there is no way you can be rehabilitated. I'm sorry. There is not. That is a type of evil that just it's like I can't wrap my head around it. Like at all. I don't want any excuse of why they had these horrific urges or why they were on the drugs and what they did. The fact is, they kidnapped a woman, didn't know how amazing she was, and they tortured her for hours and brutalized her. For fun? I just... Good news, though. Okay? So, this happened in 1986. It's 2024. One of them died he was in his 60s of cancer. In 2019, I believe it was Michael Murdoch. But the other boys, they have not been having a good time in prison. They have been getting a whooping in prison. Oh, yeah. Yep. They're getting their asses handed to them, which makes me very happy. I know two wrongs don't make a right. I know that. But like, I just can't, I don't know. I'm sorry. I sound so bad because I don't want violence. I don't want sadness. But oh my God, what this girl went through. I can't picture it. I had nightmares about it. Like I literally did. I did this case 2 years ago. I couldn't handle it then. And I'm handling it better now. At least I think I am. And it's just, these guys are still remaining in prison. But I'm sad to let you know that they may get out. Yeah. Yes, they may get out. And what family and friends and even the community that knows about this case, when they get out, there is nowhere for those boys to run. That's all I'm saying. Like, literally. I mean, there are so many people that want these kids dead. They do not think they can be rehabilitated. They understand they have to do Australian law, Australian rules. But these kids and these men, monsters, whatever you want to call them, are so evil. But yet they may get out. And all I said is like, good luck, because, John is ready. Johnny said, he'll smash their fucking head in. Yeah, he would gladly kill them. No problem. And he's like, if I have to spend the rest of my life in jail, it's worth it. Yeah. This is so many years later that it has affected so many people. My God, Anita's parents, they never gotten over that. They have passed on, right? They have passed on now. And the sister, Catherine, says every day after that horrific, burying her sister, knowing details, the parents have never moved on. They never gotten over it. They never healed. And John, like I said, he never really healed. Someone asked him, what do you do? He does not do drugs at all anymore. He actually has been sober for many years, but he loves to surf. He loves to surf and spend time with his son. For many years, he changed his name because it was just a horrific, when people heard Cobby, they knew what that meant. And he just didn't want to be, he just couldn't think about Anita. He had to I got kids now, I got to move on. But years later, guys, his son Daniel wrote on Facebook that, we need to get my dad's name back. And he wrote that tough problems or tough situations don't last long, but tough people do. Today, Anita has a plaque in the Sydney hospital to this day. Like I said, this case completely opened their eyes against the violence against women. And there has been foundations that actually started because of this case. And like I said, they almost brought the death penalty back and actually made a judge fully cry. Because he's never met anyone so evil, because they have pictures and describe what happened to her. And it was just literally a senseless gangbang killing for no reason at all. Thank you guys for listening or watching. I really appreciate it. I do have other videos that I will link after this video to check out. Thank you again for hanging out with me. I know that was tough. I am sending you positive energy. I'm sending positive vibes to the loved ones involved in this case. What do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, you're welcome to email me with case suggestions. Please know that you are loved and you are cherished. And remember, you are doing better than you think. Bye, guys. Thank you.